2021 was an absolute cluster of maddening experiences, surprises, and events that took place. And after the previous year, it just made sense to kick it into high gear to pick up the slack. For me, personally, I listened to so much new music it was flowing out of my ears. What the frick? I went and saw my first live concert in years, and it was pretty banging. But I watched so much stuff this year as well. WandaVision was good until it wasn't, Devilman made me want to cry, Brooklyn Nine-Nine had a rough finale, and Inside Job was a fantastic distraction from my social life. But please do not get me started on the second season of The Promised Neverland. For movies, I started off the year with Jojo Rabbit, and I ended the year with the end of Evangelion, so you can definitely tell I was deprived towards the end there. I did like the new Suicide Squad, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, and I rewatched The Parent Trap because I felt a little too uncultured. For those of you that don't know, I started streaming this year, and if I don't find you watching my next stream, I'm gonna have to kiss you on the mouth. Oh geez, I mean, I beat all of the Breath of the Wild shrines, I yet again played Fusion Fall, and I constantly got hooked on playing Pokemon Unite with my roommates to avoid a healthy sleep schedule. Oh yeah, I mean, Halo as well. Tons of Halo. And lastly, of course, I read a lot of manga because I can't read real books without pictures like a baboon. Solannon, Scott Pilgrim, My Hero, and Chainsaw Man. What the frick? There was a ton of good stuff I checked out this year, and the other was Attack on Titan's finale. Okay, honorable mentions. Magi, oh my gosh, the series was so much fun. I had a blast before leaving for the summer. It's just such a good series, but it sadly just had an ending that was kind of rushed. So I felt like I couldn't put it on here, but I mean, go check out my video about it if you really want to hear more of my detailed thoughts on the series. Planets, however, is a perfect series through and through. And the only reason I didn't put it on the actual list is because I really didn't take the time to define it this year, just like some of the other candidates. Like, I read it towards the end of the year, so it really didn't define this year, like when I read it through the first time. But nonetheless, it's an absolutely wonderful series that I'd say if you haven't read yet, you are committing a crime. Metroid Dread made me feel good at video games. You can absolutely get stomped if you just run in guns a-blazing like some moron, but if you take the time to figure things out, you can make this game pay you to play it pretty much. It was fun to just traverse around and give you the sense of security, then you fight a boss the first time and you turn the game off. Two movies that I easily had the most fun with this year were Palm Springs and The Truman Show. Both are conceptually very different, but while The Truman Show is my third favorite film of all time because of its wild concept and existential view of the world and makes you think after the movie, Palm Springs is Andy Samberg and Kristen Militoni laughing at reality, making you feel insignificant for not getting that PhD. Both are great movies, and I love them a lot. And the final honorable mention was definitely for the G for G EP! The best rappers on the internet, truthfully. Move over Dunk, move over Kanye, the G for G have arrived. Find them on Spotify. Okay, this is the real list. Alright, so I'm very biased on this one. I usually love a lot of folk music. I'm a big hippie, mostly because it's soothing and stringed instruments are the absolute best in the world. But this year, my favorite folk type of music was Lily Oakley's Late November EP. And yes, I am a personal friend of hers. This isn't sponsored, this isn't a shout out, this is just a genuine review of the album. Late November is this heartwarming but somber view of Lily's personal life and some of the things that she had happen to her. Lily's way of writing lyrics is a very close to home subject that I feel like many people can relate to. And upon hearing her EP, I think you can see yourself in these situations that deal with loss and longing and remembering a time where you felt this way. It's an absolutely beautiful album and one that I hold very dear to me. It excites me incredibly to see what's next for her discography because I know whatever it is that she writes, it's nothing less than 100% passion and perfection. Go go Power Rangers! If you think Power Rangers are stupid, get yourself a reality check, because you are a dumb idiot and I will aggressively stand at a distance and cower because I'm on all reality not a real Power Ranger. I got on this Power Rangers kick starting this last semester of college, and I read through all of Boom Comics' Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Go-Go Power Rangers and Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers, but that's a whole other tangent. It does something that I love and adds drama and stakes to a child's television show. You follow the original group from the 90s, but both series have this crossover event called Shattered Grid, and that showed all of these other Rangers, and then you follow them into space across the Morphin Grid and... Okay. Let me bring it back. You get a lot of variety, the story is actually awesome, and that made me rewatch my favorite seasons of the show, Power Rangers Dino Thunder. I've slowly started to collect them physically, and there's definitely more I have to read, but these were just so much fun to experience. This is my moment to proclaim to you, yes, the live-action remake is just as bad as everyone says it is. Please watch the original if you actually want to experience this property. I did a review on this. I literally just did it, so there's not much I can really add on. But to answer your question, yes, Ayn is still the best character in the whole show. Around March of this year, I had lunch with a friend of mine, this guy. And I mentioned 3 words that defined our next 6 hours. Super Mario Galaxy. We played through the final levels of the game, experiencing this masterclass of a game. The bombastic and glorious orchestra, the atmosphere, literally everything of this game is perfect. A feeling of sheer harmony flying through the galaxies, seeing these endless shots of space that make you feel so small, but curiosity just gets the better of you. And you fight Bowser, so it's worth it. Any game is good if it has Bowser. It's become practically a tradition to reread Soul Eater every year, and this year is no different. Soul Eater yet again proves to be one of the best action manga around, being incredibly unique, entertaining, and has some of the best characters ever. I can genuinely recommend this to anyone because of the way that the crazy concept translates so well into action. I even took the time to rewatch the finale of the anime to see which ending is better, and I have to tell you, the anime doesn't even stand a chance. There was no debate for this whatsoever. What are you thinking? Also, the spines make this awesome gradient effect at the end and just adds on to more of why I love the series. I got really existential this year, to be honest. So I did as anyone would and watched all of Adventure Time. I just adore this show. It has this glorious sense of atmosphere, ambience, and, well, adventure. I know. Shocking. Like, yeah, it starts off silly and goofy and haha schmauzau, but then it gets into some ridiculously good moments of maturing and taking off the rose-colored glasses to see the world as it is. And I mean, some of these characters have just seen some tough stuff. It's just cool to see a new formula for comedic cartoons that aren't just bare-bones gags, and that there's some actual substance with the plot. This is a little bit older, but these types of cartoons are the long-lasting ones. When 2020 started, everyone had to look back on the previous decade to see what came out on top as their favorite game from the past 10 years. For a long time, I thought it was Portal 2, which, don't get me wrong, it's still a top game and I think it is one of a kind, but if I went back in time with the knowledge I have now, I would easily say that it's Uncharted 4. Uncharted has always been a top series of mine, and when I finally went through and played all the previous titles, it was finally time to play 4. And man, it was so worth the wait. Stunning visuals are just the surface of what the game does, because this game is technically fantastic as well. The story is just one of the best in the series, seeing into this now settled down Nate Drake as he stopped the treasure hunting, and it's making him more personable to us. The campaign is significantly longer than the other 3, but it doesn't feel like that one bit at all. The mission structure in this game is so vastly different than the others, because you'll start chapters in a calm environment and end it by committing terrorism. Just ending this game made me happy to see it have a thrilling conclusion. This year was cold. So I reread Vinland Saga. For all of you cluster-headed buffoons that just got into the anime because it got onto Amazon Prime, you should be ashamed of yourself. You guys get fantastic content, yes, but you're also missing out on one of the best manga of this generation. Thorfinn puts most protagonists to shame with how decisive he is in the grand heat of battle, yet he probably smells like garbage. These volumes are huge, being a large amount of stuff to read all at once, but when you pick one up, it feels like you just speed through it. It has a really great quality of turning the dial to 10 in its storytelling and characters that I can't tell you enough. If you're skipping out on this, you're a dummy. You crustaceans don't talk about this one enough! GURREN LAGANN takes another mech series and throws galaxies at it until they can't take it anymore. And you wanna know why? Because people who don't have the ability to count can understand what's going on. It's not about the plot, it's about the spectacle and the depth gathered from the simpleton mindset. Along with BEBOP, I can't say that I'll go too much into detail because I believe my review does it justice, but oh wow, I mean this is just way too deserving of the number 2 spot. I made a statement in my last top 10 of the year video, if you will watch with me. And I swear to you, if Porter Robinson would have released Nurture this year, you know for a fact that it'd be in my top 3. Oh, and it did. It made number 1. With 7 years in the making, the teasers for Nurture was an absolute joyous occasion. Having a new single drop was like Christmas coming early, and it was just so heartwarming to hear Porter's magnum opus come to fruition. Nurture's hour-long runtime is filled with wonderful melodies, beautiful harmonies, and some of the best instrumentation I've ever heard. You feel like you've been taken to this wonderful empty world where you can see the horizons on all sides. Songs like Look at the Sky, Dull Scythe, and Trying to Feel Alive made Porter Robinson my top artist on Spotify, and the least shocking thing to happen to me this year. I made it into the top 0.01%, and I hold that highly, even though I don't know a lick of what that means. I can easily tell all of you that Nurture was, without a doubt, my favorite thing this year. And that's simply just because the Ruby didn't have a new season.